Good morning, beautiful kings and queens. I hope that this be a beautiful and a blessed day for you all. For a lot of you beautiful kings and queens, it seemed like a good idea to be your friend. For a lot of you beautiful kings and queens, it seemed like a good idea to be your lover. It seemed like a good idea to be your confidant. It seemed like a good idea to hang around you, until they realized that being around you was going to have to force them to essentially take a look at themselves and deal with the things that they have been trying to hide. Those undealt with issues were going to come up in your presence because of what you stand for. That fakery was going to have to be exposed because of what you stand for. So it did seem like a really good idea to have you as a part of their life. It seemed like, oh, this person is just so amazing. I just want to put them in my pocket. I just want to keep them around me at all costs. But they didn't realize that you were a mirror. They didn't realize that what would end up happening is that you were going to bring up some of their nasty ways that they decide that they're not going to work on. They didn't realize that being your lover was going to expose them for who they actually are. They didn't realize that being your friend was going to expose them for the jealousy and the wicked heart that they had on the inside of them. They didn't know that. So what ended up happening is a lot of people saw your fire and they liked the light that your fire was bringing to them. But the closer they got to that fire, they realized that they were seeing their reflection in that fire, and they didn't like what they saw. They did not like what they saw. They thought that you were going to be easy to handle. They thought that you would be easy to hold, but they didn't realize that by holding you, they would have to have strength. They didn't realize that holding an anointed and a chosen one would actually cause them to have to work out their muscles. They didn't realize that holding an anointed and a chosen one would actually cause them to have to change. They thought that they can come into your life and continue with the same foolery that they've been fooling other people with. They didn't realize that being your friend would expose them. They didn't realize that being your business partner would expose them. They didn't realize that being your quote-unquote lover would expose them. You always seem like a good idea until they get too close. You always seem like a good idea until they see the values that you hold. It always seemed like a good idea to have you as a friend. It always seemed like a good idea to have you as a backup plan until they realize that you play no games. Until they realize that your soft heart does not mean that you are weak. Until they realize that your childlike manner does not mean that you are stupid. Until they realize it always seems like a good idea. It seems like a good idea to press your buttons until they realize that you don't take crap. It seemed like a good idea to pick and to poke at you because they thought that you would continue to turn the cheek. But the moment that you began to stand up for yourself is the moment that you lost so many people. So yes, it seems like a good idea to have you in their corner. It seems like a good idea to be your friend until they realize that having you around, they are going to have to work on themselves. That having you around, they're going to have to deal with those issues that they suppressed. Until they realize that having you around is going to bring up jealousy. Until they realize that having you around is going to bring up some type of feeling about you, and it's going to force them to have to work on themselves. It's going to force them to have to level up. So yes, it seems like a good idea to have a chosen one around. It seems like a good idea to have